Everything's put together at a special purpose-built base at Banbury, which started at the beginning of 1988. It's called ProDrive, and they build rally cars there as well as race cars for all parts of the world. I think they're turning out something like 20 different M3s this year, and that is where the British team is based.
We looked around all the manufacturers who'd got anything that looked a potential Group A car, assessed the cars and the manufacturers to see what sort of relationship we might be able to have, and came up with a shortlist. I won't go into which cars were on that shortlist, but BMW sort of stood out as the one that not only gave us the right car, but also the right sort of manufacturer to do an association with. BMW Motorsport had already set out to make that car a competitive Group A race car. So they'd already designed a car with Group A racing in mind. It had got all the right basic ingredients. It had got an engine that was capable of putting out 300 horsepower. It had got a basically sound configuration of car. And they'd made the commitment to develop that car in Group A.
Drivers, we have two drivers for this year. We have Frank Sittner, who is a seasoned campaigner. Frank's been involved for many, many years, both in single-seater and in saloon car racing. Over the last number of years, he's been very heavily involved with BMW Mark in racing. Mike Smith, our other driver, obviously is a well-known TV personality. He's not been chosen for that reason. He's been chosen basically on his ability. He drove with us in a couple of races last year, proved himself to be an extremely good member of the team, worked very well inside the team, accompanied Frank extremely well. So we think it's a good driver lineup, good choice.
Well, the idea is to try and win the British Saloon Car Championship for BMW GB. And to do that, we have to perform well in 13 races around the country, which include the support race for the British Grand Prix, the Birmingham Street Race, and many other international meetings. Very severe competition. Although we have to try and win by winning our class consistently, we do want to try and give the bigger cars a bit of grief on the way. We strip out all of the interior trim for lightweight, you're allowed to do that, and we put a lightweight driver's seat in, which is made of Kevlar, very, very strong. It's as strong as any good body panel. Then we've got the circuit breakers down here, which is where all the wiring terminates on the car, so the driver has full control of every circuit. Starter button, fire extinguisher button for firing off the electronically operated extinguisher, and the major circuit breaker there for the battery. This is interesting, where you normally have the thermostat knob for the car's heating. We've replaced this with this knob, which alters the brake balance on the car. If I turn it clockwise, I get more braking on the front. Turn it anti-clockwise, more braking on the back. That's to adjust the balance of the car as you're racing with a long-distance fuel tank that gets lighter and lighter as the race goes on. Up here, it's a fairly standard-looking steering wheel, about the same size as standard, and the dash panel may look standard, but in fact we've changed all the dials on here. It's custom built by ProDrive. On here I can monitor the rear axle temperature, the oil pressure, the oil temperature in the engine, the fuel pressure, which is critical to know whether you're getting low or not, the water temperature, and also the very accurate rev counter. We run to 8,500 revs, and you need to monitor every 10th rev of that to get the maximum performance out of the car. The European Series is the major saloon car championship in the world now. It's the one which last year was a fight between the Eggenberger Sierras and the BMWs all year long. We're hoping to do several rounds of that, well, 2 rounds in total. We may sneak another one in as well, doing Donington here this weekend and Silverstone, the TT race. Frank is going to be joined this weekend by James Weaver, and I'm being joined by Will Hoy.
How much experience have you had in the M3, Will? Well, I did all last year in Japan in the Japanese Touring Car Championship, which is up against all the might of the Japanese car manufacturers, and we were successful in winning Class B, and this year we're leading overall in the M3.
You know, I'd like to think the BMW GB team's every bit as good, if not better, than the European teams, and we're out to try and prove that. The competition's very, very stiff. The Schnitzer and Bugatti team is going to be hard to beat. If we can beat them, great. If we don't beat them, we'll have been very competitive and put up a good show.
First of all, I would like to see a BMW M3 be as much ahead as possible, maybe realistically P3, P4. I would like to see one of the permanent competitors in the European Championship to keep that place. If that cannot be achieved, then of course I would like to see BMW GB, or most likely you, to come up and show up in some place 3 or 4. But of course I have to try to get the factory teams in the right picture. That's why we are officially in competition.
Don't worry, I'll let Roberto Ravaglia pass. I'll let him pass.
Well, he said the same thing about you.
I've driven very sloppy cars for the past few years in production saloon car racing, and the M3 chassis is a very tight chassis. It's like a sports car chassis, proper racing tyres and so on. It takes a long time to get into it, but just this weekend here, it's all clicked, and it's all come together for me, and I really feel like the car is at one with me. Before, in previous races, I felt that perhaps the car is a bit better than I am. Now I feel as though I'm on top of it. I think we're on the 5th row of the grid, which is about as far up as I want to be. I don't really want to be up the front end of the grid with the Sierras. I'd rather be happy to pick a few off in the first few laps, get the tyres up to temperature, see how we go.
We were very quick on Friday. The cars were very quick again this morning in the race morning warm-up. We were all running full tanks. So I think we're going to be very competitive in the race. We were 6th and 7th, and 2nd and 3rd quickest BMW. So it looks good.
125 laps. It's going to take 3 hours to run the race. We will hopefully just make one pit stop, one scheduled pit stop in that time, in which we will change tyres, change driver, refuel and go out again. Now that should be all over and done in half a minute or so. We've decided to put Will in first. Will start and James will start in Frank's car. That's because they have both done rolling starts before. They're very used to them. Frank and I have done rolling starts, but I think it's best to go on the experience of the other guys, and then we'll take over and pick off the back markers later on.
It's a lovely little car. It's a car you have to hustle around a circuit, and so when you've got a nice tight circuit like Donington Park with lots of corners, it's ideally suited, far better than the sort of bigger, open, longer sort of circuits. I think it's ideally suited to Donington Park. Just resurfaced it, and this is, I think, the first car race on it, and certainly there's a lot more grip. The old surface used to be very abrasive, but when it got wet, it was like ice because of the kerosene from the airport. But now it's a much better surface, much smoother, and I think it's got more grip. But we'll find out after about an hour of the race, I think, to see what our tyres are like.